What does the word Allah mean?
Exactly. So it's very interesting. Good question. Al means a definitive, means the only, and ilah is anything that can be worshipped. So al-ilah means the only one that can be worshipped, the only one that deserves to be worshipped, the only one worthy of worship. There is no other deity that should be worshipped. Not Jesus, not Muhammad, not idols, no saints, no Saint Peter, no Saint Paul. The only one that can be worshipped is that Creator.
Did you know metals on melting produce foam in a very similar way, like water produces foam on lakes? The foam on metals are impurities. Similarly, the foam on water are impurities of viruses which appear on top of the water. You will surprised to know that Quran mentions this link in very interesting way when it says, "The water flood carries foam, which is similar to foam on metals when they are melted. And this foam is thrown away, but what benefits people remains on the earth."
The scientists discovered there is a fine line separating them. As the Earth rotates on its axis, the day is on the side facing the sun, and the night is on the other side. A thin line appears between day and night where they overlap, with one side of the dividing line dark and the other light, and between them is the zone of dawn called Al-Fajr. The Holy Quran indicated this truth more than 14 centuries ago when discussing the rules of fasting, as He the Almighty said, "And eat and drink until the white thread of dawn becomes distinct to you from the black thread of night."
Did you know that wind exists only in the atmosphere between the sky and earth? There's no wind in space. Quran mentions this fact in a fascinating way when it says, "The directing winds and clouds are controlled between the sky and earth. These are the signs for the people who use intellect." Quran highlights that winds operate exclusively in the atmosphere between the earth and the sky, where clouds form. Did you know it is the man sperm which is male or female? The woman egg is simply like cultivated ground that has no say in what is planted. It is simply the place where it grows. If male have X chromosome, means baby is female. And if it has Y chromosome, means the baby is male after fertilization. But before these discoveries, the Quran speaks on this topic too, when it says, "And that He creates the two mates, the male and female, from a male sperm drop when it is emitted." Quran emphasis that it is sperm which present in male determined sex of baby.
New research suggests our universe might have some type of consciousness.
The sun has vastly more complex patterns of electrical activity than our brains. So why shouldn't that be associated with consciousness? Why shouldn't the sun have a mind? And if the sun has a mind, why not all the stars? If all the stars have minds, what about a huge collection of stars like the galaxy, linked up by vast plasma currents of electricity surging through the arms of galaxies, linking together all the parts of it?
Each one truly conscious, not metaphor, but real?
Real, but with its own kind of consciousness. Human consciousness is different from dog consciousness. It's hard for us to imagine other forms of consciousness. Our ability to understand these things may be limited, but to say that they don't exist is an even greater limitation.
This miracle in the Quran is unexplainable. Check this out. In ancient Egypt, there was a man whose name was Haman, and his job was simply to build and architect what the Pharaoh at the time of Moses, peace be upon him, wanted. The crazy part is that in the Quran, Allah mentions his name 6 times, and he is known to have built a tower for Pharaoh so that he, as in Pharaoh, could look over Moses' God, Allah. Now the Egyptians at the time spoke Old Egyptian, so they wrote hieroglyphics. But this language died 2,000 years before the birth of Muhammad, peace be upon him.
We have been able to read the ancient Egyptian language recently. A block statue in the Egyptian Museum Munich reads as Ham Amana, which means servant of God, Amun.
This is a miracle of the Quran that may disappoint some of the flat earthers out there. Let's take a look. Now we already know that the Quran says in this verse that Allah overlaps the day with the night, and vice versa. Yukawwiru is the word that he uses, which indicates that the earth is indeed round. But the Quran doesn't just stop there. We already know that the Greeks realized that the earth was round, but the Quran says something in addition to that. Now this is where things get a little bit interesting. The Quran says wal arda ba'da dhalika dahaha, which means that we made the earth into an egg shape. And if we look at the lexicons, we see specifically an ostrich egg. This is what an ostrich egg looks like. This specific kind of shape is called an ellipsoid, and scientists have confirmed that that is indeed the exact shape of planet Earth. Now, although the Greeks had already discovered that the Earth was round, it was only in 1909 that John Fillmore originated the very first elliptoid world map as we know it today.
Did you know sneezing is the best thing that ever happens to you? When something enters your nose, signals are rapidly sent to your brain to tightly close your throat, eyes and mouth, removing all the viruses from your nose. According to a study, single sneeze can expel upwards of 100,000 germs out of your body, and this is one of the reasons why the Prophet Muhammad said to praise and thank Allah after sneezing.
Like a real-life spider woman, she sprays strands of silk in one long, continuous flow. Every few seconds, she crimps the strands together to stop them spreading too widely.
What's fascinating is the girl's hair is all covered, so women do not show long hair. So you see the girls, the shawls are completely covering them, and you don't see their hair at all, you just see their faces. There's all this debate now about the hijab and about women covering their hair, and we forget that, we've lost that as part of our culture. That 100 years ago, you wouldn't walk out in the streets of Lancashire with your hair down.
First, the Quran states that, and those of you who die and leave wives behind them, they shall wait for 4 months and 10 days. It turns out there's a very good reason for the precise time period given. It's not a random number by any means. Amazingly, even though the Holy Quran was written 1400 years ago, the time of 4 months and 10 days, almost 130 days, is exactly when all of the physiological transitions required for a successful pregnancy occur, including the HCG hormone, a very important hormone for pregnancy, reaching peak levels and then